Alright guys, so today I'm gonna go watch a screening to a movie that doesn't even come out till another 2 weeks, but I'm dying to watch this movie ever since the first trailer came out back in June, I believe it was. And of course, that movie being Bumblebee. I'm extremely excited about that movie, and I'm wearing my Optimus Prime t-shirt that I got when I saw Transformers last night. It was the IMAX fan event at AMC. So I'm very excited for this movie. It's directed by Travis Knight, and Travis Knight is one hell of a director. What he proved with Kubo and Two Strings, super underrated movie. If you guys haven't seen that movie, highly recommend it. And Travis Knight, it looks like he knows what he's doing. I mean, I know, yeah, the Michael Bay Transformer movies for me are guilty pleasures, but sometimes they just feel like they're a little too much for Transformers movies. But here, it feels like Travis Knight knows what he's doing. It feels like he's actually getting the roots of the original Transformers cartoons. Plus, the characters have the G1 designs. So I'm extremely excited about this movie. So let's head off to the theater.
This Christmas. Now, sit back, buckle up, and remember, stay after the credits for a special behind-the-scenes look at Bumblebee.
Alright guys, so I did go see a advanced screening for one of my most anticipated movies of this year, Bumblebee. I was excited for this movie ever since it was first announced, and I was even more excited when I heard that Travis Knight was directing this movie. And of course, the whole announcement of him directing this movie was actually following his success, at least his critical success, of Kubo and Two Strings. Of course, that movie didn't make a whole lot of money at the box office, unfortunately, but it's one of my favorite movies of 2016. And just seeing what he was able to do with that movie, and seeing that he could have possibly brought it over to the Bumblebee movie, was just, it's everything that I just kind of wanted especially for what Travis Knight, for the way his career was going. It's everything that I really just wanted for an actual Transformers movie, not directed by Michael Bay. And I did get this Turbo Superchargers, whatever it's called, and I actually got Dragon Storm. It's actually pretty cool. Apparently you could transform this, but I don't know how to transform it, so I'm not going to spend my time transforming it. Of course, I'm going to review the actual movie itself. I got the whole script in front of me for my review. It's a pretty long review, so please be patient with me. But I do get into some of the main details of the actual movie itself. It really took me time to write this review. But anyways, let's get started. So after a fight in Cybertron, basically Bumblebee is sent down to Earth for his own good, where he meets Charlie, Haley Steinfeld, who is protecting him from the FBI and the Decepticons that are basically hunting Bumblebee down after coming down from Cybertron. Now, let me just say right off the bat, Bumblebee is an absolute delight from beginning to end. The movie starts off between a battle in Cybertron, and wow, just what they were able to capture in that battle between all these alien robots without it making it look all convoluted and messy on one setting is just satisfying. Because of course, one of my main problems with all the Transformers movies, actually, no matter how much I could enjoy those movies, they're guilty pleasures. Some of them, some of the movies are bad, but the thing that I just never really liked about those movies are the way the action scenes are actually handled. Because the action scenes in those movies, there's just too much happening at once. It's just hard to focus on what's actually going on. And here, everything just moves so smoothly that you know what's going on. And literally every fan in this sold-out theater was having an orgasm just pointing out all the different characters in the background within the first 5 minutes of this movie. And this movie just hooks you on from the very beginning. And while watching this movie, you could really tell the director of this movie, Travis Knight, was a huge fan of the Transformers, of course staying true to the original G1 designs of the characters, and also seeing how true these characters were staying to the original cartoon. Travis Knight directing, I knew this movie was in great hands. And let me just say, Haley Steinfeld was so great in this movie, especially as a human lead. She feels more human than any of the human characters in this franchise have ever felt. You know, her dramatic and her family-friendly chops here really just really work, and they really bring the movie to life. And her relationship with Bumblebee here is just off the roof. I just love the chemistry that both these characters had within this movie. I mean, their first interaction on screen is just lovely. I mean, it's Bumblebee's first time interacting with a human, and you know, you could actually see the fear in his eyes. You could actually see that Bumblebee's actually scared when he's first interacting with Haley Steinfeld's character, Charlie, because, you know, this is his first time on Earth. He doesn't know who to trust, he doesn't know who not to trust, and they clearly just showcase that here in this movie. And John Cena is a bit over the top sometimes. He gives some good lines and he gives some pretty cool scenes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I pretty much like this character, but by any means, he's not exactly a show stealer in this movie. Although we do have this guy in this movie who has a crush on our main character, Charlie, who I thought was actually one of the main show stealers in this movie, because he's just a lot of fun and he's just really charming here. But, you know, after more thought, the real show stealers in this movie are actually the villains of this movie. Of course, Angela Bassett voicing Shatter and Justin Theroux voicing Dropkick. Both of them just kill it here as Shatter and Dropkick. You know, by any means, Shatter and Dropkick aren't exactly the best villains ever put to screen, but they are quite threatening, and you can basically feel every sense of their character, and they're very much the type of villain that they should be for a Transformers movie. I just love them so much as the real villains of this movie, and I thought they were just so great in this movie. And every detail in the bots here just really seems to count, especially with what they did with Bumblebee. I mean, remember that this movie does show us how Bumblebee actually lost its voice, and after that he isn't able to communicate till later in the film. He actually communicates with the radio, which is something that we've seen in the Michael Bay Transformers movies. But before that, the way he would basically communicate is basically visually, and he shows off his expressions through the movement of his eyes, which is something that I think that they really just capture perfectly in this movie. Travis Knight just really makes it obvious in every shot of this movie with what emotions Bumblebee is going through in that very scene. I mean, seriously, what Travis Knight was given to work with here, he just gave us this visual spectacle for us Transformers fans to devour, and of course a more watchable one without worrying about shaky cam like I already talked about. You know, Travis Knight wasn't given much to work with here compared to Bay, since it's only a centric film between two characters, of course, Bumblebee and Charlie. But yet it feels like this movie has the same scale and maybe even more stakes than the Michael Bay Transformers movies had. And you know, just the character work with both characters here is just so good. It almost actually feels too real. The movie is just told in such a surreal way, where it's actually a coming-of-age story for both Charlie and Bumblebee. And I know it really just sounds cheesy just saying that this movie pretty much is a coming-of-age story for Bumblebee, but I mean, after you watch this movie, it really kind of is, because this movie is basically expanding and developing on his character to what you have been seeing in the Michael Bay movies. And it just really works for both these characters. And again, it just really works especially more for Bumblebee, since he's in the other 5 movies. But you know, I do have some minor complaints about this movie. Again, I can't complain too much because this is just a movie for Bumblebee, so I know that they're trying to get away from the actual things with other Transformers. But I just wish that we saw a bit more of the Cybertron fight, or at least we got more to a reason to what caused it, because it's never really explained in the movie. And also the whole dynamic with the family doesn't always hit the high notes. I mean, yeah, it's heartwarming as the movie itself, but sometimes it just takes away from what the movie actually is. And the movie does get a bit goofy, but it's actually for its own good at times. But that is because you know, the whole goofiness and the lighter scale to this movie is actually a part of Travis Knight's vision for this movie. And it just really does end up working. You know, we don't see a whole lot of Optimus or a whole lot of other Autobots, which is fine because, again, this movie is mainly only trying to focus on Bumblebee, and it really works as that. And, you know, this movie just, for a movie about Bumblebee, it just works in all the different ways that a Bumblebee movie should go. You know, overall, Bumblebee is a very well-directed movie with some very well-written characters that feel human, even Bumblebee, with some very great action sequences in this movie that just hook you on. And Bumblebee and Charlie's relationship here it just steals the whole show, and it showcases the deep heart of the actual movie itself. And yeah, the movie does have some bumps along the way, but it works solely as not just a softer and a lighter movie, you know, for Transformers, but it actually works as a movie itself. With that being said, I really do highly recommend this movie for the Christmas season, and I now see why this movie was released for Christmas. It's actually kind of a family movie mixed in with some very cool action sequences. And this is a movie that I would recommend paying full price for. And with that being said, I'm going to give Bumblebee a B+. Now, for those of you guys who actually have been sticking around on my channel for about a year and a half now, ever since I saw The Last Knight and ever since I reviewed it, I know I gave that movie a pretty positive review, although the more I thought about it, the more I actually saw more problems within that film. I still don't think that The Last Knight, I still don't think that that's an awful movie. You know, I don't think that it's a great movie either, but I don't think it's awful. I actually think it's quite good, because I do think that there are some things in that film that do really end up working, but some things that don't end up working so much. So The Last Knight, in my opinion, is still just a good film. I still don't see why it gets so much hate. And of course, I do really like the first Transformers movie, and I do also really like The Dark of the Moon. I still think that that's actually a pretty good movie. Although I could see how people think that Revenge of the Fallen and Age of Extinction are trash, because they are pretty bad. But they're enjoyable, but they're pretty bad. But Bumblebee might just be my favorite Transformers movie, so that's very good. So, you know, this movie was made by a Transformers fan, not just for Transformers fans to enjoy, but also for the regular audience member to enjoy. But anyways, Bumblebee, I hope you guys check this movie out when it comes out on December 21st, the same day when 20 other movies are dropping, but make sure that Bumblebee is one of your first options. So of course, if you guys seen this movie, tell me what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.